Everyone. Welcome po ulit sa ating Thursday Delight webinar. Ako po muna ang inyong host ulit for today, Dan Oliver San Juan po from NLC. Busy lang po ang ating National VPX, Ma'am Chie. So, kamusta po tayong lahat dyan? So, for this afternoon po, we have a speaker na naging suki na po natin siya and ngayong afternoon po is gusto niya po ulit makapag-share sa atin ulit ng kanyang expertise pagdating sa renewable energy. So simulan na po natin ito and let me introduce her. So she is a dedicated professional and passionate advocate for renewable energy. She holds a degree in electrical engineering with a major in power engineering. And she has completed a master's in energy engineering from University of the Philippines. She also focused on a clean and sustainable solutions. She serves as the renewable energy lead for Asia at Blue Water Shipping. Her expertise in sales and project delivery, combined with her commitment to advancing renewable energy through excellence in logistics, drives success in the renewable industry. So everyone, let's all welcome Engineer Victoria Locson. Hello ma'am, welcome back po sa ating Thursday Delight webinar.
Hi, magandang hapon po.
Hello ma'am, good afternoon.
Ayan, narinig niyo ako. Sige, mag-start na ako ha. Hindi naman din ganun kahaba itong presentation ko.
Okay ma'am.
Okay, so ito yung discussion natin for today. The overview siya ng energy landscape tsaka ng potential ng renewable energy, current energy mix, and again, potential for the Philippines. So una is overview, next is yung current, and then ano na yung innovation in renewable energy technology in the Philippines. So may specific examples ako dyan. Next is yung common challenges sa development, and then ano yung role ng digitalization and smart technologies. And then next are specific examples of community-based RE projects. Then last is outlook and opportunities. Yan. So, according sa last na ASEF, hindi yung 2024, yung 2023 pa. Ito yung latest data natin. So, ang installed capacity natin is still 44% coal, 29% renewable energy, nat gas is 13%, and then oil is 14%. Then, within sa 29% na yun ng renewable energy, nandito sa kanan po yung breakdown. Biomass is 2%, geothermal is 7%. Dati pinakamataas natin geothermal, di ba? Kasi geothermal and hydro. Kasi before naman, wala tayong wind and solar. Next is wind, 5%, solar is 13%, and then hydro is 2%. And then ito yung current energy mix natin and potential for renewables dito sa Pilipinas. Nakuha ko rin to from the same seminar ni Sir Binondo at the same event. Public naman kasi yung report niya. As you can see wind yung pinaka nasa taas, yung light blue. Nandyan yan sa taas for the same reason na madaming service contracts tayo ngayon sa wind. And this year, until 2030, is makikita natin yung implementation ng pinaka volume, yung mass, yung paramihan ni wind. Si solar, madami pa rin namang solar, pero medyo nagte-taper down tayo compared sa before. Hindi siya ganun kaunti, pero hindi siya kasing dami noon is what I mean. Geothermal, I'm not sure if you saw the news, pero there are a couple of explorations that were approved by the DOE. So we're gonna see the geothermal numbers increase then. So expected to increase yung generation mix ng renewable energy to 35% by 2030, and the target is 50% by 2040. So to reach yung 2040, yung total installed capacity natin has to be increased by more than 6 times. Dami 'no, parang nakakapagod. Pero true, yun yung kinumit ng Pilipinas, not just dito locally sa Philippines, pero, whenever we go out in other countries, when we talk about sustainability goals and targets. So, sidebar, active sa Pilipinas sa ganito kasi F na F natin yung mga side effects ng, climate change. Matumal yung reaction or experts would say na matumal yung reaction. Hindi ako gano'n ka-expert. Nabasa ko lang 'to sa, published, articles nila. They're saying na parang matumal yung reaction ng ibang bansa, pero sa Philippines is active kasi nga mas realistic sa'tin yung nangyayari. Like for example, 'di ba nung April to May, hindi lang humahataw yung init, pero tirik din ang mga electricity bill natin kasi lagi tayong red and orange alert to the point na ma-manual deload na at automatic deload in some areas in the country. And then sobrang init, 'di ba? And then this coming June, La Nina naman. So yung totoo, parang sisipunin yung Pilipinas matapos mainitan biglang gano'n. Anyway, so ito yung mga kino-commit natin na targets. This may change every year kasi every year yung reporting. Yan. Ano yung innovations ng renewable energy technology sa Pilipinas? So, isa tayo sa pinakauna na isa tayo sa mga pinakauna na nag-install ng solar and wind. So, siya yung una sa Pilipinas and then also in Southeast Asia. Not sure Asia-wise. Yun lang yung nahanap ko sa information sa kanila. So, ito yung kung taga Norte kayo or nag-field trip na kayo, ganyan. Ito yung 4.1 EDC Burgos na solar farm na katabing-katabi ng wind farm nila. 5.5 hectares yung site and then 13,500 yung photovoltaic solar panels. 70 inverters. Ayan, may note dito na wag daw gagamitin or kokopyahin without permission ng author. Pero since naman sa YouTube and it's for educational sharing, I think it's okay. Let me try to play this. Rinig nyo ba yung music?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Hindi. Would you know kung paano i-share yung sounds?
Pag sa share screen, ma'am, meron lang i-click sa bottom left na share sound pag nag-share screen.
Okay, so yung advanced sharing options ko kasi is parang limited. And I don't know if it's because I don't own the Zoom window. Wait, let me share sound. Ready nyo na ba?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's try na ba?
Tapay na pa. Tapay.
Okay. So, kung napansin nyo, na ano yung mga turbina, wind turbine, kesa dun sa solar panels. Sadya yun kasi napakahirap mag-deliver ng mahahabang turbina. Considering na maiksi pa to compared sa meron tayo ngayon. Ngayon kasi, yung turbina na yun, times 2 na yung haba at yung laki. Pero, I mean, malaki pa rin naman. So, inuna nilang i-deliver at i-install yun kasi mahirap mag-maniobra, mag-deliver kung may mga solar panels na baka mabasag. Yan. So, next tayo. Yan. Play ko din to, ha. So, ito naman, yung una nating power plant ng solar na gumamit ng 210. So, meron ng 210 before, pero ito bifacial. Yan, okay. Sunod. So, baka narinig nyo kasi sa news or nakikita nyo sa mga posts, if ganun yung feed nyo tulad ko, madami nag-install ngayon sa Laguna de Bay ng floating solar. Pero actually, before nun, alam nyo ba, meron merong mga samples sa Manila de Bay, and then meron pang nauna doon, which is ito. Ito yung floating solar project sa Magat Dam. Ito yung first non-hydro na RE project. Na hydro, not hydro kasi nga solar. So, gawa ng success na yon, nag-approve yung board ng SNAP. SNAP is SN Aboitiz Power. Approve the project to proceed na maging 67 megawatts all in all. So, nandito naman yung link sa baba, tsaka kung saan galing yung picture. Yan, dahil sa project na to, natuloy yung mga pilot projects pa sa Laguna de Bay and sa iba pang parts ng Philippines. And then I think we're going to see floating solar in the next 3 years na. Kasi napunta siya sa priority lane ng president natin. Ayan, punta naman tayo sa challenges sa RE development. So, land acquisition, of course. Grabe yung, I wouldn't call inflation. Grabe yung increase ng price per square meter from mga una-unang time ng Fit Race would be 12 years ago sa presyo niya ngayon. Next is instability ng forex. We're buying equipment in US dollars and in renminbi. Pero ang buying power natin ng foreign exchange is hindi kasing lakas. So malaki yung gap, significant yung gap, and because of that, if the bank can't fix prices, your suppliers can't fix prices as well. Next is yung supply chain instability. Nakadepende sa yung mga solar project, kung kamusta yung world demand and supply, nakadepende din yung magiging presyo ng project mo doon and yung timeline niya. So let's say pineg mo yung project mo at price X, pero at the time of contracting and procurement, ang price niya is X plus Y na. So it's that kind of instability, pero actually it's very normal. And if you're a seasoned procurement person, business development project person, kung malami ka na nakita na project, instability remains to be a challenge, pero it's not uncontrollable. Next is yung resource availability natin. Malami ng service contracts eh. Kasi 'di ba, hindi mo pa kailangan bilhin talaga yung lupa for the service contract. Reserve ka lang muna ng areas. So madami nang nakaisip na i-reserve ko itong napakadami na to kahit na hindi ko pa kayang i-build yan sabay-sabay or magkakasunod. So yun yung nagiging resource availability constraint natin. Lupa pa din. Next would be yung permitting timeline. So even with EVOS, EVOSS, bumilis siya, pero hindi pa rin siya kasing bilis to the pace na nakikita sa neighboring countries natin. When foreign companies are coming here, nasya-shock sila na it takes 3, 5, 7 years to process permitting. Wala tayong magagawa ba talaga. Next is limited manpower sa country. So for example, for wind, for onshore wind and offshore wind, konting-konti lang yung talagang certified na umakyat and to handle voltages at high altitudes. And then for offshore wind naman, akyat sa taas and then meron pang baba, which is underwater. That kind of limitation of manpower yung sinasabi ko dito. And then, for example, sa solar, kahit na madami ng planta na naitayo, we keep importing labor from overseas kasi hindi enough yung manpower dito or hindi enough yung skilled manpower ng bansa. And then lastly is limitations on regulation and government programs. So, syempre hindi naman overnight ang mga batas, pinag-aaralan, hindi mabilis, pero at least gumagalaw. Kung makita niyo yung policy ng neighboring countries natin, in terms of policy, medyo angat tayo eh. Sumusunod sa atin yung ibang bansa from 12, 15 years ago in terms of RE. Pero, ayun, syempre, as capitalists, financiers, investors, prefer nila mas mabilis. So, it's still classified as a challenge, even though gumagalaw naman talaga. Okay, next. So, ano yung role ng digitalization and smart technologies? Examples lang to ha. Hindi ito yung perfect na sagot. Madami pa. And probably may experiences kayo na iba sa akin. First is yung advanced na SCADA technologies. Mas madali na magpatakbo ng power plant. Mas maunti na yung manpower na kailangan. Kasi napaka-advanced na ng mga SCADA ngayon. And safety-wise din, if they can detect hindi lang faults, pero any other issues sa planta, lalo na't live yung wires. Mas safe kasi hindi mo siya kailangang puntahan agad or potentially may chance ka pa na patayin siya remotely para ma-mitigate mo yung safety yung safety risk. Next is yung satellite information ngayon, mas improved na siya, mas specific na siya, mas madami na siya. So, dati kasi, yung data ng Philippines, for example, magtatayo ka ng planta, let's say, sa norte, Isabela pataas, ganyan. Walang satellite data noon. So, ang nakapeg, satellite weather information, di Manila. Kasi meron sila Manila. Gawa ng airport natin. Manila or Clark, kasi may mga airport doon. They have weather monitoring stations. Ngayon, more specific areas in the Philippines and in other countries worldwide, dumami na yung satellite information. I guess natural naman yung pag-grow nun. Kasi the more na nasa taas yung satellite, years, more data, ganyan. It's easier. Pero it doesn't mean na hindi ka pa rin magtatayo ng weather station mo. Dadali lang yung process ng pag-justify mo ng weather station mo. Sa budget yun. Pangatlo is yung advanced UI UX features, user interface, user exchange features ng mga dashboard. Mas madali na. So dito, nilagay ko na example is sa solar. Baka nag-install kayo ng solar, yung mga dashboard ng mga cloud, ng mga access. Dati kasi Xiongxia yan, ang hirap gamitin, hindi ko masyadong maintindihan. Pero ngayon kasi, ang ganda na niya, napaka-seamless na ng integration, yung data gathering, data exchange, tsaka yung paggamit niya. Paggamit mo as a user, as may-ari ng system, for example, ng solar, ganyan. So, mas kilala na nila yung sarili nilang system and for some basic troubleshooting, hindi mo na kailangan mag-rely sa technical supplier. I'm not saying huwag kayo mag-rely sa technical supplier nyo kasi syempre, nandun yung warranty nyo. Pero let's say in cases of emergency, hindi nyo sila makontak, you would still have the ability to troubleshoot. Number 4 is, mas okay na yung algorithms natin ngayon, predicting energy yield, compared dati. So, dati PVCs lang for some reason tinatanggap. Ngayon, I've seen several Python made. Sila na yung gumawa ng mga algorithm nila. And then you have other programs such as rated power. Now, mas laking accurate compared sa mga dating program noon. Not saying mali. Sabi ko lang na because of over time, dumami na yung options, gumanda na yung pagpapredict natin ng yield. Ganun naman yun eh. Habang tumatagal, mas nakakapredict tayo. So, dumadami yung data points. And then, panglima dito is yung data acquisition ngayon is mas mataas na yung rate compared noon. So dati, let's say, 100 points over 5 minutes. Ngayon, you can do 1,000 points over 5 minutes. Siyempre, over 1,000, mas madali kang statistically makaka-compute na true mean, true average, or depende kung anong sukat nyo ng min-max, ganyan. Mas madali na mag-manage ng planta, na kahit ano. Okay, so community-based RE projects. Nakita niyo kung bakit community-based. Ito baka pamilya kayo kay Reboot. So youth-led org siya na nag-advocate for just energy transition towards the use of more RE in the country. So program siya ng, hindi ko ma-pronounce, pero German ano yan, German. Part siya, para siyang annex ng German embassy. In lieu of renewable energies as Philippines being the partner. Yan, so, pag member ka dito or kahit nag-lurk ka sa Facebook nila, madami ka actually makikitang information na matututunan. Pwede ka rin pumunta doon, contact mo sila. They'll be happy to teach you, ganyan. I'm not sure if it's free, pero if it's youth-led, it's probably not too pricey. Kasi when it's hard to put up to demand prices kasi pag wala pang work, ganyan, college student. It seeks to encourage more Filipinos to, ayun nga, join, work together to benefit the environment and the country through renewable energy. So, andyan yung link sa Facebook. Pag sinearch sila, makita mo tong logo na to, alam mo sila na yun. Community-based. Bakit to considered community-based? Kasi yung projects nila, hindi naman targets, helps, assist specific communities. Hindi nila kayang malakihan kasi nga youth-led organization siya. Pero it's doing its best to help where they can. Next is, baka nakikita nyo na itong si NEN, New Energy Nexus. So, ano siya, organization siya that builds and runs ecosystems, programs locally tailored to support specific needs of entrepreneurs in that region. Victoria, bakit entrepreneur? Kasi NEN acknowledges the fact that renewable energy transition or transiting towards a more renewable energy society powered by RE, it will take hindi lang yung big corporations but also the small ones. Our barangay level, our city level, town level entrepreneurs to proliferate yung use ng RE. This is mostly visual for solar kasi madali siyang gabit. Pwede siya sa bahay. You won't see this with wind turbines. Pero that's what they mean. So they empower entrepreneurs in the same alignment of them with renewable energy. So paano ba nila ini-empower? Training. May training sila every year. Madami silang training every year. Mentorship, sound advice. Sound as in for your benefit kasi hindi naman kumikita si NE pag nag-a-advise siya sa'yo para sa'yo lang yun talaga. And then yun nga to grow as a community na magkakakilala din yung locals para magtulungan. Ayun. So yes. I think that was it.
Coming, Mama.
Sorry. I missed pala yung isang part. Lumang file pala yun. Ayan, future outlook and opportunities. Hindi ako papalaki. Okay, ayan. Kita nyo naman ang buo, no? So, future outlook, and all you have to do is really Google and check the news. For example, ito yung latest news at the time na I created this presentation. So, si AP and si MRP joint venture for wind projects sa Kamsur. And then 2 gigawatts is expected of new solar in 2024. I can attest na totoo yan kasi nakikita ko yung movement ng cargo. Next is yung green lane for project ng wind ni ACEN, si AC Energy. Alternergy same, may wind projects siya. Huwag niyang masyadong pansinin na yung isa 37.7D tapos yung isa 4D. Magkakaiba sila ng project size. Pero yeah, nasa B. And then, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na may na-approve si DOE na 3 geothermal prospects in the Philippines for bidding. So, kailangan nilang, hindi siya tulad ni wind and solar na pag nagtayo ka ng met mass, hindi mo kailangan masyadong permitting. Ito kasi, tutusok ng malalim sa lupa. And there's a lot of safety risks involved in that. Kaya kailangan may approval ni DOE. And that was my last slide, guys. Maiksi lang din talaga siya. Pero in this short time, sana may natutunan po tayo. And let me know if may tanong po kayo.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you po. So, any questions po sa ating participants? You can unmute po or mag-chat lang po tayo dito sa chat box. Mukhang wala na silang mga questions, ma'am.
Ayan, ito na.
Ito may tanong po from Thomas Socorin. Of the
Depende.
challenges mentioned of RE development here in the Philippines, which is the hardest to deal with?
Depende kasi let's say swertehin ka, mabait yung landowner. Hindi kayo masyadong mahihirapang mag-negotiate at magbayaran. Pero there are instances na the land that you want, hindi mo makuha kagad for complications of various reasons. Minsan naman, G si mayor or si governor na maglagay kayo doon ng planta. So yung permitting nyo on that level, hindi sobrang hirap. It really depends on kung ano yung experience. Sa akin kasi nag-iiba-iba yung kung ano yung mahirap, depende sa project. Minsan sa construction na mahirap, banayad lang yung pre-development tsaka development, tapos pagdating sa construction na yan, rakrakan. Inabot kayo ng hindi magandang weather, ganyan. It depends.
Mukhang wala na silang mga questions, ma'am. Pero kung may mga questions pa po sila, ma'am, pwede po ba namin mahingi contact details nyo?
Yes, nandito siya actually sa harap ng presentation. Ayan, nandito yung email address ko. And then you can search me as well in LinkedIn. Kuya already has the copy of this presentation, I think from a couple of weeks ago. So, nandun naman din yung information na to. Ano na ngayon efficiency ng mga solar panels? Mas mataas na kaysa noon. So, depende kung ano yung application mo, if industrial or pangbahay. Normally, yung pambahay, hindi ganun kalaki kasi hindi naman din ganun kalalaki yung mga bubong natin. Then, industrial is yung tulad nung nakita nyo kina Prime, kina EDC yan, yung malalaki. Well, yung kay EDC considered na maliit na ngayon. Yung kabilis ng technology. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay na, ma'am. Sige po. Let me, lang, ma'am, award
I-stop
certificate natin.
Ilang panels ang
Questions po ata ulit dito kayo.
Ilang panels ang desirable panels per installation is consuming 2,000 kilowatt-hours per month po. Hindi ko sasagutin ito nang hindi ko nakikita yung roof area. Tsaka kung kaya ng bubong yung solar actually. So better to have an installer visit your home para makita niya. Kasi kahit mataas or or hindi ganun ka masyadong taas yung consumption nyo, depende pa rin sa kung anong kaya ng bubong niya din. Yan.
Yeah, award na po natin itong certificate. So, the IIE Northern Laguna Chapter, the Best Chapter Hall of Famer, give this certificate of appreciation to Engineer Victoria Locson, REE, for sharing her technical expertise on the topic entitled Innovating Green during the Thursday Delight webinar given this 13th of June 2024. Assigned by Anthony Jefferson Atienza, our VP Technical Affairs, our President Reginald M. Castillo, Rodrito V. Manalo, our webinar proponent or co-host, and Ma'am Esperanza L. Collado, our National Vice President for External Affairs. So, ma'am, thank you po again for sharing this topic po sa amin. And sana po sa susunod mayroon pa tayong mga pwede pang i-share. So, may mga question pa dito, ma'am.
Ano ang ideal na panel indication ng Pilipinas po? 10 to 12%, pero computein niyo pa rin depende sa altitude ng lugar niyo. Ano po sa tingin niyo mas dapat maging focus sa Philippines regards of power source para di tumaas ang price ng kuryente? The price of electricity is more of a regulatory thing eh. Hindi ko siya masagot ng buo kasi our regulation is already pushing our prices down. Tumataas lang siya pag summer kasi nagsha-shutdown. Hindi presyo yung problema pag summer, kundi yung madaming nagsha-shutdown na planta na lahat dine-declare nila na unscheduled shutdown daw. So, nagkakaroon ng shortage. So, hindi talaga yung presyo yung issue eh, pero yung unscheduled na shortages. May weight varieties ba ang mga panels? Yes, meron. Mas maliit na panel, mas magaan, mas mabigat. Laking panel, mas mabigat. Pag bifacial, lalo pang bibigat. Yes. Welcome po, Sir Mark.
So, baka may mga habol pang questions no eh. Sige, siguro ma'am, kontakin na lang po kayo through email, no?
Yes, yes.
Sige ma'am, okay po. So,
Thank
until next time po
you.
ulit ma'am. Sige ma'am.
Have a good
So,
Thursday,
participants,
everyone.
may
Long
presentation
weekend
na po
ngayon,
kasi.
kaya laban lang sa trabaho. Hindi ka
Oo.
naka-leave.
Sige. So, sa participants, thank you po. May presentation pong na-share ata si ma'am.
Meron
Tama.
na, meron.
So, nandun din po ata yung contact
Yes.
email. Ayun,
Yes,
doon na lang po
pati
natin
yung
tingnan.
mga link nung mga information para ma-explore din ng
Po.
fellow IIE members natin.
Thank you.